Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Breaking Late. I'm your host Michael, and with me again is JD. How are you, mate?
Not too bad. How about yourself, mate? How's your week been?
It's good. Getting ready for the F1. You guys might be listening to this going, hey, why are you uploading an episode where it's not your normal release schedule? Do you want to explain why?
Well, we've got a very special episode today. Actually, we're getting to talk to a very good up-and-coming driver, actually, in the development series and Super 2s. His name is Bryce Fullwood. He is going to be talking to us. He's given us some time so we can ask him some questions.
Yes, so we might as well jump straight into it.
Far away, I reckon. We'll get right in.
Here we go.
Hey, mate. So when did you first start wanting to race?
Probably when I was about 10 years old. My dad actually took me down to the higher go-karts down at Hidden Valley there. And, yeah, I saw him go around and thought, geez, how good was that? Didn't even really know much about go-karts or anything, to be honest with you. And I managed to get myself a go in one, and I was pretty much hooked from there. But, yeah, previous to that, I sort of had no idea about racing in general. So, yeah, sort of stumbled across it, I guess you could say.
It's a pretty good thing, because we did know that you had quite a lot of success in go-karts. You went across over to Europe to race there for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly right. We raced in the World Championships, which was actually over in Spain, which was a really cool event. So yeah, I was fortunate enough to do quite well in go-karts, and yeah, very proud of what we were able to achieve.
Yeah, we actually watched the Spain online when you were over there, actually. It was pretty good racing.
Yeah.
Tough conditions.
Definitely. It was very, very different to what we have here in Australia. And as you said, the racing over there was just so different. The conditions were really tough. Here in Australia, generally speaking, when you were past someone in go-karts, you pull out to make a move, and the other person generally sort of lets you through like they know what's sort of coming. Whereas the guys over there, they really try and fight you to the end of the battle, and it doesn't matter whether you lose 5 seconds on the track. They just want to stay in front of you. It's not real smart. Sometimes it's easier if I'm faster or whatever. It's easier to just get around them, and then if they want, they can just tag on the back and we'll keep going. But
exactly.
They're more like they really want that spot. So
it's the old move forward together.
Yeah, exactly right. It was a big wake-up call, definitely for me. I mean, I tried to pass someone down the straight, and I had to run up on the inside of him, and I thought, I've got this guy, no worries. And he looked at me and started turning into me, and I was like, well, I'm here. You can't keep turning. And he just turned straight across the front of me, and my front wheel hit his rear wheel as I was coming up beside him, and I went flying up in the air and come back down. And when I landed, I thought, geez, right, it looks like I need to toughen up a bit here.
I didn't know there was that many sheep stations over in Europe.
Yeah, exactly right. That's what it was like. It was a big wake-up call.
Yeah, well, you would have had future F1 stars and everything in your field, so it would have been pretty full on.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. It's the best in the world were there, so I suppose the next generation's got to come through at some stage, so it will be pretty cool to race against them when I see them in Formula 1.
Yeah, you did quite well, actually. You qualified fairly well over there too, didn't you? Where'd you end up?
I qualified third outright, which was a really good effort. I was pretty pleased with that. I was actually ready to pack up and go home from there. Third in the world, so I was pretty happy with that. And to be quite honest with you, we had really good pace all weekend. It just didn't quite work out for us in the end. It actually started pouring rain in apparently a country where it doesn't rain too much, and they didn't have any runoff or any draining system or anything. So
it did look like a bit of carnage.
Oh, the track was waterlogged, and you're going like nearly off the track to get around the puddles. And anyway, in the final, I started 15th, I think, after a penalty over there, which again was how hard they race. I was starting off second, and the rule is you're starting off second, you can't go over the control line, which is the start line where they drop the flag. You're not allowed to go over that before first place. You have to be even or behind. And we had, because it was such a fast track, obviously go-karts are obviously a single speed, so they took a long time to wind up, so you needed to get on the throttle for a long time before they started to get going, kind of thing. And I timed it perfect, and I was right next to him, and I sort of did a really good job. And then just before we got to the start line, the guy on first actually hit the brakes, and I went across the start line in front of him, and then they handed me a 10-second penalty straight away.
Yeah, balked
and
you.
you can't even argue it. They had it all on footage and everything, and I said, well, you can clearly see you hit the brakes, and they said, no, this is what the rule reads. And so I had to start back in 15th, and yeah, it was completely saturated and waterlogged the track, and I ended up actually hitting a puddle on the first lap and spinning out, and I went back to 36th, which was last, because obviously there was a lot of guys that didn't quite make the grid for the final race, and I ended up being about a second and a half faster than any other go-kart on the track, and I caught up to 11th and passed a lot of people. But it was amazing to see some of the country that obviously doesn't rain too much. Some of the guys were so fast in the dry, and then come to the rain, they were just nowhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was very interesting to see for sure. Very, very cool race meeting though.
Yeah, it's a big achievement, really. It's very high up there.
Yeah, definitely. Very, very happy about it all.
So, making the jumps from karts to supercars, that would have been very difficult. What were the biggest difficulties you had to overcome?
Probably, obviously, there's a lot more horsepower than you go-kart, obviously.
Yeah.
The speed was, like, I wasn't scared of it, but definitely had me on edge. Like, the guys told me, you go down Conrod and you get a rest, because you're just driving straight. Whereas I was still like, geez, I'm going pretty quick here, sort of thing. But I reckon the biggest thing that I found difficult was to judge, because you're going so fast, to judge the exact point on the track where you've got to brake, and then to try and move that point forward just 1 metre, kind of thing. So, if you're going so fast and you go, yep, I brake here, you can't kind of just click your fingers and brake again, because if you do, you've just travelled 10 metres. So I found myself out-braking myself quite a lot to start with. I let go to make a pass and try to brake a little bit later, and I broke way too deep and was never going to make the corner, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously sitting on the right-hand side of the car, whereas the go-kart, you're very central. It's a lot harder to race these cars too. Like in a go-kart, you can sort of throw it in from a little way back and you sort of slide it in and you can get the job done, no worries.
Watch some
car,
speed off.
Yeah, exactly right. But with a car, because you're going so fast, and obviously you're racing on the limit of these cars as it is, and obviously you're pulling a lot of speed off the car every metre that you're travelling into the corner. It's a big call to just brake 2 metres later to pass somebody. So, yeah, you definitely have to set your moves up a little bit more than just being able to go for a dive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's something we've definitely seen improve over the last 2 years, is that your confidence under brakes now seems a lot more solid.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's just the last... So, obviously, with the supercar having no ABS or traction control or anything of that nature, a lot of the speed comes from actually getting the car into the corner, because everyone can go flat out in a straight line and out of the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the easy bit. A little bit of throttle control coming out of the corner so you don't wheel spin, but braking coming into the corner is the hardest thing, because obviously you want to maximise the tyre under brakes the whole way into the corner, not only in a straight line, but as you're turning into the corner as well. And so that's your brake modulation. And that last phase of the braking modulation, where you're braking as well as turning, there's such an art to it. And, fortunately enough, I've done quite a few races in the car I'm in now, obviously having done Homebush in my first year in it, and then last year as well, and then I've done first round at Clipsal again this year. I've really started to get in the hang of how the car likes it. And so, yeah, my braking in my car currently is a real strong point at the moment. So, yeah, it's taken a little while to get my head around it, but I think pretty happy with how I'm going at the moment.
That's really good. What are your targets over the next year and years to come?
Yeah, so obviously a target will be to win the Dunlop Series. Obviously I've got some pretty big news that I'll be driving a Nissan for Townsville onwards, which come out not too long ago. My goals are to get a few top 5 race finishes when I get into the new car. My teammates have currently got the Nissan, and mine will be the same as what they've got. And just being on the test days and stuff like that, comparing the two cars, there's definitely a noticeable pace difference. definitely a faster package.
Yep.
So I'm really looking forward to that. From what they tell me, they do things a little bit differently, and it'll take a little while to get my head around it. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Feel like sort of the underdog a little bit in my car. So yeah, getting the new car, I'm hoping to get some top 5 finishes, and then obviously leading into next year, hopefully if everything goes well and I can secure the sponsorship I need to be able to keep going and feel my dream, then I'll race that car again the following year, and then the dream will be to win the championship.
Yep. So now you're one of the only drivers out there in the older spec car. What are the disadvantages and advantages out there, if there is any?
Yeah, so there's actually only 3 old cars. I'm one of 3,
Mm-hmm.
and weirdly enough, they're actually all Falcons. But yeah, so there are mainly disadvantages. The biggest thing that that I'm hurt with this car is I can't get off the corner like they can, and it's just because the new car's got independent rear suspension, whereas my car doesn't.
Yeah.
It's got a solid diff. And so their cars ride the bumps really well off the corner, and it makes it really hard because, as I was saying to you before, you can't just brake 5 metres later to pass someone. You need to be on their tail leading into the corner. So it makes it's a catch-22. I can't really come out of the corner like they can to be on them to pass them.
Yep.
So
It
that's something that
kills your speed at the end of the straights, doesn't it?
Yeah, and once you start losing from the very start of the corner, you continue losing, and that loss grows as you're going down the straight, if you know what I mean too.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they might only be going slightly faster than you going out of the corner, but you might get to the end of the straight and they might be 10 metres in front of you, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing that's hurting me, I suppose. The other thing too is aero, and a track like Clipsal won't really show that. Through turn 8 it does, but that's the only real corner, and across the curves and whatnot doesn't really affect it. I mean, luckily in my car I've got really good shocks in it, and Matt White really knows what he's doing to setting that car up, and so it rides the curves really well. But going to a track like Phillip Island, that's going to really affect me, having
exactly.
the loss of aero.
Yep.
So I won't be able to carry the mid-corner speed, and it's definitely a little bit more slipperier through the corner. Like, it definitely feels like it's a bit more loose, whereas watching the Nissans, they look quite planted through the corner. So, yeah, I mean, going into Clipsal, I definitely knew that was going to be my strongest result with the car.
Yep.
So I'm just going to have to try and gather it up and see what I can do at these next couple of rounds, being Tassie and Phillip Island.
The Nissans did look quite strong in Super 2s on the weekend. They didn't have the best results. They had a bit of adversity in a few of their races, but it looks pretty promising for later in the year when you get into one.
Yeah, exactly right. Very, very promising. The cars are both very fast. The slight issue they had with Jax, it was not a very easy car to pass with. Similar issue to mine. He just couldn't quite get out of the corner. He could make a faster lap, do a faster lap than what they could, but couldn't quite get around him.
Yep.
And Shea was the same. He felt like, I don't think they both felt like they fully got the full potential out of both cars.
Yep.
But yeah, they're both very happy with how things are going there. So yeah, definitely very promising for when I get into one. Really looking forward to it.
How's it been working with Matt White and the team? They've been really helpful. It looks like you've progressed a fair way in the last year.
Yeah, they're an awesome team. You know, they're such a wealth of knowledge. Matt's been involved in supercars for such a long time. You know, he's seen so many different people. You know, you look at people in the main game, people like Tim Slade and Dale Wood, Chaz Mostert. There's heaps of guys that have come through his stable. So yeah, I mean, it's really good, and the best thing about it is he really knows what he's talking about, and he's able to answer every question I've got, and he's able to point me in the right direction. And so, yeah, I've really benefited from that in the last couple of years, definitely.
He does seem like one of those team bosses that doesn't have any bullshit, so to say, behind him, you know what I mean? Like, it's all facts when it comes out of his mouth. He doesn't, I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, exactly
mince
right.
his words.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly right. He's a very quiet person. He actually doesn't say that much.
Yep.
And you don't know if you're doing a good job or if you're not doing a good job, sort of thing.
Yep.
You know, like very, very quiet, but what he says is true, and he believes in what he says, and you know, he's not one of those kind of guys that just give you lip service sort of thing.
Yeah.
He's a wealth of knowledge, and yeah, I really respect him, definitely.
That's good. You've driven a few tracks now in the Super 2s. Which one's your favourite track that you've been to?
That would have to be Phillip Island and Bathurst.
Yeah.
They're both different, but yeah, they're both awesome. Yeah, really, really cool tracks. Bathurst, obviously, in a league of its own.
Yeah, well, you've shown some pretty good pace at Bathurst when you've been there, especially during the 12-hour and the combined sedans. You were fantastic over the weekend there.
Yeah, the car went really well. You know, such a big thing at that place is just getting the laps on the circuit. Obviously, being a public road, you can't get laps there, and so it's hard to build the confidence up on that track because there's so many just little bumps and grooves and bits and pieces that you've got to miss and bits that you've got to get, and it takes a while to figure all those little bits and pieces out.
It's a track that punishes you if you get offline, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a track that rewards if you go real hard, but it also bites really hard too. Yep. So, you know, you can just go balls to the wall, hang it sideways and just rag it as hard as you want, and you'll get a good time out of it. But, you know, you look at Chaz Mostert in 2014, whether you can do that every lap is a question. It's relentless.
We've heard you've been doing some prep work in the racing sim before each race meeting. How's that help your confidence?
It's been good. I've been working for Matt full-time as a mechanic there, and I'm fairly hands-on myself. And so I've actually been working on my car since Townsville last year. I've done everything on it. And fingers crossed, it hasn't fallen apart yet. So it's going well. But, it is good because myself, I'm very mechanically minded, and so it helps me when I understand everything on how the car works.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I suppose some drivers are probably similar and some are probably different, but for me, I find I like knowing how every change we do works so that when I know when to tell the engineer when I feel like it's time to apply a certain change, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and where the car's going to head from there. Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously with a race car, everything's a compromise. Whatever you do is a compromise. You might be able to pick up in this area, but lose in this area. So it's all about trying to find the right change that's going to give you the least compromise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So, like, there's a million different things you can do to get the same effect, but you need to find what's going to not hurt you as much as some of the other changes. So, yeah, there's so many things you can change on the cars as well. So it's been really helpful knowing how everything works, and I think it's definitely helped.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a strength. You can look at some of the drivers even in the main game and the mechanical sympathy people have that have come from sort of working on the cars to people that have just sort of worked their way there as a driver. I think it definitely helps some of the drivers get through races when they might have some problem with the car, and the driver actually knows what it is before the engineers and stuff do.
Yeah, exactly right. It helps you to be able to manage the car because you know what's going on.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. I think there's many pluses to it. I don't know if it's everyone's cup of tea. I'm not sure if everyone believes in that, but I certainly believe in it, and it worked for me with my go-karts. Yep. And it seems to be paying off for me now in the car. So, yeah, that's how I do things, and it seems to be working for me.
Yeah, that's good. What's your highlight so far in this development series since you've been racing?
Definitely last year. I got a third place at Homebush.
Yep.
Which was pretty cool.
Yeah,
obviously
that was pretty strong. Your pass around the outside was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was like a do or die moment. It was like, this is either going to pay off really good or I'm going to get wiped out and I'm going to be P nowhere. So luckily it all worked out, and obviously going up in the field, the class of drivers get much better too. So I was aware of that, and you know, if you were down the back a bit more, you wouldn't have tried to do that because there's
you would have been in the wall.
Fair chance you wouldn't have made it through the corner. So yeah, and I mean, it goes to show like qualifying is everything. You know, it's so hard to pass in these cars, as I was saying earlier. And, you know, that round, I come off the back of my best qualifying for the year and ever. and got a really good start and landed myself in 5th straight away, and I had the pace to run there, and I had the pace to run there all weekend, but I didn't qualify there, and you can't just pass. And obviously, once you lose the time on track, you can't just make it back up.
Yeah,
You know
once
what I
there's
mean?
a gap, it's very hard to pull back 10 seconds in
Yeah.
a short race.
Exactly right. So, so that was definitely my highlight for me, definitely.
So what do you do after you have a bad bad race to reboot for the next race? Like you might have like a shocker race. You need to clear mentally to be ready for the new race. What's your procedure through that?
Yeah, pretty much you just wipe the race off and just say, look, forget about that. Concentrate on the next race and how you're going to go about things. And, some things are out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, you just don't even think about them.
Yep.
Some things are your fault, and then you need to be able to learn from it and say, okay, well, here's what I did wrong. The biggest thing is you need to be able to accept when you're at fault, I believe, and learn from your own mistakes.
Yep.
Some people make a mistake and don't realise that and don't blame themselves for it. And obviously it hits your confidence. You make a mistake and you look bad and you're on TV and everything. But the only way to learn from it is to accept that it's your fault. And so, if it's your fault, then you need to, I suppose, wear it.
I guess that's
just make
something
sure
you've
don't do it again.
carried from go-karts.
Yeah, exactly right. If you've got to go apologise to the person, obviously, as well. But yeah, I mean, in go-karts, it's very close racing as well. And yeah, I mean, I suppose you have a general idea of in go-karts, you learn what you can and can't get away with.
Yeah, yeah.
And then obviously you have to do the same in the car. So yeah, it's all reasonably similar.
So are you still karting at all, or?
I've been doing a little bit. Yeah, I haven't done too much. I started this year, but last year I did a few club runs down at Oakley.
Yep.
My go-kart mechanic and mentor, James Sarah, I was living with him for quite a while, and so I got back into go-kart and did a few races, and it was pretty cool. One thing, I actually was going all right. I surprised myself. I did pretty well. I definitely didn't rock up with the best of gear. I was losing a fair bit down the straight and didn't quite have tyres like everyone else and whatever else, but I had to keep reminding myself that I was there for a bit of fun. I kept wanting to go faster, and I was a little bit annoyed that I didn't have all the gear I need to go faster, because I knew I probably could have done the job had I have had the gear, but I had to keep reminding myself that, hang on a minute, this is for fun now, not quite being so competitive.
Typical race car driver.
Yeah.
It seems to be the new trend, but even some of the main guys, the drivers have got back into karts. Nick Percat's been in a kart recent, and Mostert as well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly right.
Just keep
a lot of the guys get the shifter karts.
Yep.
A lot of the guys get the shifter karts, and they're very physically demanding to drive. They're very full on. In the race car, in the supercar, obviously, your body's held up by the seat and your body's all strapped in. So it's only really your arms and legs that do all the work.
Mm.
Whereas in the go-kart, you've physically got to hold your upper body up as you're going around the corners and hold your neck up, and obviously fight the G-forces. And the go-kart obviously has no suspension, so it's very bumpy and very direct as well, very harsh. So, obviously after driving, when I used to race go-karts, I used to be able to get in the go-kart and go all day and not have a bruise and be no worries. And then I got back in it and did 10 laps and was like, whoa, this is a lot harder than I remembered.
You feel a few muscles that you haven't used in a while.
Yeah, exactly right. Get out all bruised and whatnot after days in the go-kart. But yeah, a lot of guys are getting back into it because everything happens very fast, especially in those shifter karts. They're very fast karts, and you got to be thinking pretty fast. Although obviously you're going quick in the race car as well.
It's such short track on a shifter kart. You're in basically a standard kart track, and everything happens very quickly.
Kart. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
Who was your role model as you were growing up and looking into racing?
Yeah, this has been a talking point with a few guys before. It's complicated, but Craig Lowndes would be my idol, just with how he engages with his fans and how he conducts himself all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'd like to have the professionalism of Jamie Whincup and the success of Jamie Whincup.
It's
Yeah.
very true. It's a good balance, isn't it? Those two role models. You've got Craig Lowndes that's really good with sponsors and fans and stuff like that. And he's had a lot of, what do you call it? Great success, yeah, really. And then you've got Jamie Whincup, which is more, he's 100% focused, less sponsor sort of fan-based. Not that he's bad with fans or people at all, but there's definitely a different balance of how they control themselves at race meetings and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly right. Very, very two different ways of going about it, but I feel as though you can do them both. Obviously, you need to be you need to be very concentrated and very fixated on what you're doing at the racetrack, and I feel like Jamie Whincup's in a league of his own with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's extremely, what would be the word? He's so he's concentrating so much, you know, and he's very determined.
Mm-hmm.
Yet Craig Lowndes is, you know, he's so good with his fans.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly right.
Has a bad weekend, he's still smiling.
Yeah.
Exactly right. He can have a crash and get out, and he still can smile at a joke, you know. Whereas a lot of guys up and down pit lane, you'd be surprised. You know, you'll get out, you go to interview them, and you know you watch on TV, and they just don't want to bar of it at all. And obviously, that's not what everyone wants to see.
I think Jamie showed that last meeting. I think it was the Saturday qualifying. He got out, and he was the 10th behind Shane. And when they interviewed him, and he basically said, "Oh, it's never a good day when you're 1/10 off."
Yeah, exactly right.
And he was in second.
Yeah.
So, how do you...
only 1/10 to make up.
Yeah,
exactly.
So how do you prepare for a race weekend? Like, what do you do in the lead up to the race to, like, relax and get ready?
So I watch footage from where we're going. So, like, I'll just look up on YouTube, or if the team, so Matt has quite a lot of footage, but going to Tassie is our next race.
Yeah, yep.
He doesn't have any footage from there, obviously, because we've never been there. But usually I'll just look up some footage and see sort of what's, you know, Vet Supercar has some footage on YouTube, so usually I'll just look up some footage and try and watch and just pick out key things like brake markers and things like that. The racing line isn't really a big thing, you know, you figure that out pretty easy, that sort of comes to you, but it's more just a shortcut for the first session. You know, you sort of know, okay, that's where they were braking, so I'll go a little bit shy of that to start with, but I know I've got to get to there, sort of thing. Whereas, you know, it might take you 5 laps longer to sort it out yourself, but, you know,
it's a good start.
Yeah. Do a little
It's
bit
a
of
good
homework.
start. You see, a little bit of homework, see where the cars bounce around and where they don't for bumps and all kinds of little bits and pieces.
Yep. Look at it a lot more in depth than the casual watcher.
Yeah, of course, definitely.
Will you be up here for Darwin V8s again, racing and improved production, or is it you're going to miss this year?
No, I'll definitely be there. Definitely. Okay. We'll be racing our little V8 Commodore Cup car.
Yep.
So I really, really enjoy racing that car. It's great fun. It's hard work against the improved production guys. Obviously, they got faster motors, bigger brakes, and better cars, but I definitely like the challenge.
Be running with some front brakes this time?
Yeah. Last time was a bit odd. We had no rear brakes actually in first.
Yeah.
In the qualifying, I think it was, had no rear brakes at all. We pulled the brake pads out afterwards, and we'd put new brake pads in, and they had like a painted surface on them. We pulled them out, and the painted surface was still on them as we pulled them out. They were not working at all.
What was wrong with that?
I don't know. There was I think what had happened is because the thing with the Commodore Cup is that it always locks the rear brakes coming into the corner.
Yeah.
So I try and balance that out with a proportioning valve. So I try and turn the rear brakes off pretty much. Yep. And we didn't open it back up to bleed them. So we only bled the fronts and not the rears, and we had the master cylinder off.
Yeah.
So it just was going nowhere.
Yeah.
So
you basically airlocked the rear end.
I had no fluid in the rear line. So
yep.
Yeah.
The pedal would have felt good too.
Yeah, it was very odd anyway.
Would have been pretty scary at the end of the straight.
Yeah, well, it all felt good because I was like, geez, this is good. I'm not locking up rears. Like, how good is this, you know, something different. And then, like, a lap and a half in, I'm like, oh, hang on a minute. I've got no brakes here.
Yeah, front brakes getting a bit hot.
Yeah, well, they cooked within like a lap and a half, 2 laps, and then I went into the pits and spoke to Dad, and I said, "Geez, the pedal's long. Like, we're not going to get anywhere here." Yep. And there was a red flag that just fell, and so I stayed at the pit for about a minute or two, and then I went to line up to go back out on the track, and in that time the brakes had boiled in the pit, so I was cruising down pit lane at like 5 k's an hour, go to put my foot on the brakes, and there's absolutely nothing, and I'm pumping the brakes, and I rolled into the guy in front of me, who was another local guy, and bumped straight into him, and he was like, he put his arms up and was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, didn't mean that, so I thought, I better pull out here and roll straight back to the pits. Yeah. So I had absolutely zero brakes. So that could have been really, really fun going down into the straight. So I'm glad I found them there and not in turn 1.
What type of speeds is a Commodore Cup car pulling down Hidden Valley there?
It reaches about 220.
Yeah, okay. Still pretty substantial speeds for just front brakes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It gets going not too bad. I think the thing that hurts it the most is it's only got a Super T10, so it's only a 4-speed gearbox.
Yep.
So, you go to change gears and it revs pretty hard in the lower gear, and you change gears and it's like all of a sudden you've skipped 5 gears.
Yeah.
So it's I think that hurts a little bit. I think they make about 265 horsepower at the wheels, so they're not too bad. They still get along pretty good, but I think the biggest thing is the gearbox hurts them a little bit, but it is what it is. Everyone's got the same, and I like that about the class. It's all controlled.
It's a very controlled class. It is actually quite a good one. It's a bit hard with improved production that it's so open. There's so many different packages.
Yeah, exactly right. And, I thought about maybe trying to... Dad and I we were tossing up between whether we looked at going down the improved production path or whether the Commodore Cup path, and I just didn't really see any light at the end of the tunnel with improved production. Like, I think you could just put unlimited amounts of money and time and effort and development into the car, and you just go faster and faster and faster, but you then eventually have no one to race against either, because you're in sort of a league of your own. And I think with the Commodore Cup, everyone's got the same motor, everyone's got the same rims, everyone's got the same brakes, everyone's got the same shocks.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit like go-karts again.
Yeah, exactly right. Like
controlled
I feel
series.
like the controlled class, and it brings the racing closer together and everything as well. So
do you race Commodore Cup anywhere other than Darwin?
No, so Commodore Cup was an extremely large class down south, and it fell off because they went to VS Commodores, and then they went to alloy heads on the motors, and then they put Motec in the cars, and then all of a sudden the category got out of hand, and the cars were worth so much money, and everyone wasn't very cost efficient to race them. And so we've actually in Darwin, all the guys in Darwin, they've actually kept the category as when it was strongest. So it's still like the first version of Commodore Cup with the VHs.
Yep.
So they're old school, and like when they went up to VSs, they put dog boxes and everything in them. And so we kind of said, well, why don't we put a dog box in it? Because we had heaps of problems with our gearbox. We've had to rebuild it about 4 times because it always leaks and all kinds of stuff. And I knew if we just put a dog box in it, it'd be no worries. But they were very adamant. No, this is how the class ran. This is how we want to keep it. So bad luck.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's very, very by the books in old school terms. So I like it about the class. It's good.
How unlike Darwin.
Yeah.
Racing old
school. Exactly.
So we know, you've had long-term sponsors, but who do you really want to thank for your time in supercars so far?
Middies have to be the people I want to thank the most. Obviously, Sam up there in Middies in Winelli, he was the brains behind it, and he's the person that really helped me get started. Middies funding all came from Sam there in Darwin to start with, which was a big chunk for one store.
Yep.
And he committed to it, and that was the turning point for let's go racing sort of thing. So Sam is a person that I have to thank, and I have a lot of respect for him, and I go and see him every time I go up to Darwin. I'm actually seeing him this weekend. He's actually down here for the Formula One.
Are you going to that?
Yeah, I am. He's actually got a spare ticket. So I've done well there. So I'll be seeing him tomorrow. But got to thank him. Yeah, there's a lot of people I've got to thank, and I'll be here all day. But
yeah.
Have you got a few major ones you want to thank other than Middies? We got time.
Yeah, okay. So definitely, Nitties, My Shop and Go, who were on my bonnet last year.
Mm-hmm.
They're big supporters. Race NT, my grandma and Kerry, her partner. My grandma puts a massive effort into fundraising and does everything she can, and I'm actually quite staggered with the amount she's able to fundraise. You know, she gets together with her friends and does high teas and does raffles and stuff every week. And yeah, so I've got to thank her. She's definitely put a massive effort in, and my family as well for supporting me and being behind me all the way. You know, it's it's really awesome.
I love actually talking to your parents because they're very supportive parents. They do a great job, and they really, really back you up, and they're really behind you, 110%.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm very lucky in that, you know, whatever I want to do, my parents are there right behind me. And so, you know, Dad, he always says that he doesn't come racing for me. He'd rather be fishing and be at home catching up on work. But he's there at the racetrack because of me, but he loves it. I know he does.
I've seen him smiling down there. He loves it.
Yeah, he loves it. He's hooked. He actually raced last weekend in the Commodore Cup.
I did see that. How did it go?
He did well. He did the fastest lap time out of everyone, and it was his first race. He even won his first race.
Wow.
He reckons he was in third. He was in third and did a monster move down the straight, went from third to first in one move.
Look out, so Bryce. You might be out of the car next year.
That's what I said to him. I said, shit, so you're a professional now, eh? So,
and obviously NT Electrical on there as well.
He actually did want to put NT Electrical on the car, but it worked out that my auntie, who owned Territory Firearms, she wanted it, so she snapped it up pretty quick. So it's the Territory Firearms down the side of it. Yeah. So no, that was pretty cool.
Are you going to roll with that sponsorship at V8s this year?
Yeah, I'll see how we go. Usually we try and get a few different sponsors and a few more sponsors to try and sponsor the car for the event while it's out in front of everyone.
Yeah, obviously,
So yeah, we haven't. Yeah, we've only just sort of started to get the ball rolling with that. So yeah, we'll see. We might chop it up a bit and change it. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know quite yet.
So if anyone's interested, they can just go to your website and follow the links from there.
Yeah, exactly right. Just brycefullwood.com.au and then jump on my Facebook page, Bryce Fullwood, and you can message me and like the page and see what I'm up to and everything. So yeah, feel free to contact me.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's good.
What's your predictions for this weekend, Formula One wise?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Obviously, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, Red Bull have got new power units, so they're meant to be 0.3 faster from what I've seen or from what I've heard and what articles I've read. But from what I recall, they needed a little bit more than 0.3.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll have to see.
Ricardo was about a second behind in FP2. Yeah, so obviously Ferrari and Mercedes are going to be the cars to beat. So, yeah, be interesting to see how Valtteri Bottas goes as well, I reckon.
There's a lot of interesting things to unroll tomorrow, isn't there?
Yeah, I'm quite excited. I don't personally follow the Formula One that much because just the difference in the category I lose interest in it, you know, because you almost know where the cars are going to come.
Yep.
Yeah, it has been that way for a few years now.
Yeah, definitely. Like, in previous years, you know that it's going to be one of the Mercedes cars, one or two, and you know, then usually you look at Ferrari, and so that's one thing I love about Fiat Supercars. You know, you can have one person that wins one race, and then the next race he's down in 10th, and someone else is winning. Like it.
It's one of the best control events in the world, I reckon. The category.
Yeah, have to be. I definitely agree with that.
What do you reckon, championship-wise, in V8s this year?
To be honest with you, I think Van Gisbergen's going to be pretty hard to beat.
Yeah.
He's definitely on a roll. Yeah, he's on a roll.
He's looking pretty confident.
But yeah,
crashed out today.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting though. I reckon DJ Penske are going to surprise a few people this year.
Their cars are very quick.
They got some big brains in that team this year. They've recruited some really, really good people. You know, if there's probably 4 or 5 really good engineers on the market, they've got 3 of them.
Yep.
So it's going to be very interesting. I'll be very surprised if their cars don't go somewhere
It was
And,
very
go
interesting
with
that they took Ludo away from Triple Eight. That would have, well, obviously you want to get the best engineers and also some of the fastest cars, which were the Triple Eight last year. They're the car to beat. All of a sudden, bring some of those ideas across into your team. It's always going to make you go faster.
Exactly right. Obviously, Triple Eight will have Payton all the ideas, but they won't have Payton all the ideas in Ludo's head still.
Yeah, exactly. There's different ways to accomplish the same thing as well.
And obviously Ludo's been working on those, and he's just one of them, but Ludo's been working on those cars for a long time too. So, over a little while, you figure out what the cars seem to like and what they don't like, and you keep trying to refine the setup that you've got and the platform that you're using. So, yeah, I mean, they almost are, I'll be very surprised if they don't go really well this year, put it like that.
Yep.
I think we'll see some good results out of them.
Oh, and with the Super 2s, you got any predictions there, mate?
Bryce number 1?
Yeah, not
just
so
yet.
hopefully me first,
Yeah.
But, no, I mean, Paul Dumbrell's obviously, he's hard to beat. A lot of people say that he shouldn't be in the category, but I actually find it good because I think he's the benchmark.
Yeah.
I feel like he's definitely got the pace to be a main game driver still.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
I really rate him.
You see how he goes in the endurance cars, like in the endurance season. So to be able to race against him in the Dunlop gives you guys a lot of confidence if you're competing with him.
Yeah, well, if you're able to mix it with him, then you're ready, if you know what I mean, too. So I think he's probably the most consistent. But, yeah, it'll be interesting. Obviously, the likes of Todd Hazelwood and even Jack LeBrock, they're knocking on his doorstep. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens and how the year unfolds. So, yeah, I'm not going to make a prediction on that one.
Well, Gary Jacobson seemed to fall from grace a little bit at Clipsal as well. He struggled quite hard.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because, I mean, according to them, the car's changed a lot this year, but I don't know that it has. So
yeah, it was very odd.
Yeah, so he was just absolutely nowhere. Like, I passed him, and I'm in an old FG, and he's in the FTX, meant to be the bigger and better thing of my car, and I passed him. So
yeah, well, he's basically in the same spec FGX that Frosty won a championship in the main game. So
yeah, exactly right. That's exactly what it is.
Yep.
And there's a good chance it's even that car.
Yeah,
because they've built cars since then. So, yeah, I mean, there should be nothing wrong with the car. One thing I think might have changed, they might have put different shocks in them.
Yeah.
Which, shock absorbers is
Huge.
pretty much the whole race car.
Yep.
So, that's a massive thing. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about it all. But yeah,
obviously
it
not
was
your
very
team.
surprising to see him so far down. Yeah, it was very surprising to see him so far down, that's for sure.
Yeah, it took me back watching it.
Yeah, definitely.
I very much enjoyed watching you carve up the field at Calypso. That was some great TV.
Yeah, I think there was 23 cars in the race, and I passed 33 cars for the weekend.
Yeah, your car just looked like it was on rails that weekend.
Yeah, I did a lot of passing. Yeah, the car was fast. I think we had enough pace for probably 5th or 6th.
Yep.
And coming from
you
the
look
back
strong
every
in
race.
practice.
Yeah, exactly right. I wound up 5th in the second practice, which was really good, but then come qualifying, the team made a slight error with the car, and it really, really cost me. So, it's very hard when you have to start from the back.
Yeah. You got plenty of passing practice.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Bathurst helped me with that, with the combined sports sedans. I did a lot of passing there too, so that helped me, obviously, with the combined sports sedans. And it was quite funny. I think there was about 5 supercars.
Yeah.
But, you had, like, Mini Coopers and all kinds of things going around the track. So I think I did a 209 around there, and I think the slowest car was a 255. So there's a massive speed
You're lapping
difference.
them every few laps.
Yeah, I think it took about 3 laps, and I was lapping them.
It was really good watching.
Yeah, it was good fun. I passed about 4 cars down Connaught in one go once. Passed 2 minis, a Tirana, and I can't remember what the other car was.
How did the Commodore go there? It seemed to be like it was handling quite well.
I probably expected
development series now.
Pardon me?
Was that helped because of how well you go in development series?
Yeah, I think I probably expected the car to go a little bit faster, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, okay.
I did a 2:07.7 there in the FG. Obviously, that car was dialed in quite well, but there's just slight little bits and pieces with the Commodore that weren't quite right. Certain things like, the power steering in the older generation cars used to lock up going through the grate.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
as the car dropped, the steering would bind up and the steering wheel would lock, or it would try and rip it out of your hands. And it makes it really hard to have the thing on the limit all the time when you can't actually turn.
Mm-hmm.
So my car was physically locking up going through there, like I couldn't turn the steering wheel at all. And if I had the wrong amount of
to have
lock,
that.
exactly right. And so that's why we did a 209 and not a 207. Because just areas like that where it's not worth putting the thing in the fence for, because we had enough pace to do what we wanted to do and to achieve what we wanted to achieve, so there wasn't any use.
Well,
My
it was still
goal
an
was to get
impressive
208
drive.
out of it. Pardon me?
It was still a very impressive drive.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. And obviously, the other cars there were Kumo cars, which is what that Commodore is now. It's sort of good for Kumo. So, but yeah, no, the car was running quite well. A few little areas and things like that, but I suppose it wasn't really worth pushing that extra little bit for.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely everywhere else where it, didn't have the steering locking up and stuff like that, I was giving it all it had.
Yep. Jumping back to the Super 2s, the good result in Calypso, you're now going to Tasmania next. You must carry a bit of confidence through there. How do you think you'll go in Tasmania?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. As I said to you before with the Aero, it's, Tassie's a fast track. The one advantage with the Aero, with the FG, is it's slippery, meaning that through the air, it's actually quite fast down the straight.
Yep.
Yeah, it's quite fast down the straight, but Aero handling-wise isn't as flash. So we'll have to see how we go. The new cars have got bigger brakes on them as well.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I've seen, the smaller brakes on my car haven't seemed to hurt me yet. Last year, we obviously upgraded to the 18-inch wheel and tyre, and we got to pull a bit of weight out of the cars as well because the newer cars are lighter. And I think it was just the turning point that the brakes needed, because I haven't had barely any brake fade at all, even with the smaller brakes. So
there you go.
I don't think braking will be an issue at Tassie. I think that'll be no problems. It'll more just be the Aero.
Yeah, okay.
So,
It's sort of when you come onto the front straight there, where it's all flat out but got a couple of bends in it.
Yeah, that'll be the one. Coming onto the little front stretch that'll hurt a little bit, but obviously my car does handle the curves really well, and I was none of them in Tassie, so I don't expect it to go as well as it did at Clipsal, but hey, I'll still be trying.
Yeah.
Well, best of luck.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
I think that's
us.
Yeah.
Look, mate, thanks a lot for this. We really appreciate it.
No problems at all.
We'll love to catch up with you again when you're in Darwin. We'll definitely pop down to the pits and say hello.
Yeah, too easy. No problems at all.
If anyone wants to jump onto Bryce's website, just once again, it's brycefullwood.com. You can follow through. Have a look at it. Check him out. Bryce, best of luck in the future, mate.
Good luck, mate.
You're doing the territory proud.
No worries. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Too easy. We'll let you have some dinner now, and good luck at the races tomorrow. Have fun.
Yeah, we'll do. Thanks, guys.
Nice. Well, that's our episode for tonight. Thank you for tuning in. How'd you feel, JD?
It was a little bit nerve-wracking, to be honest. That was a very first interview for us, and it was good to get it out of the way and talk to a really nice bloke and a good driver, so it was really good. Yeah.
So, don't forget to hit Bryce up on his Facebook page. It's at Bryce Fullwood Racing. Or you can check out his website at www.brycefullwoodracing.com. Don't forget, guys, like and share the post on Facebook. We've had a big surge in listeners, and we're really appreciative of it. So
we really want to thank everyone out there. Actually, over the last month, we've had a big surge in listeners. So thank you for everyone that's sharing and telling people about us. It's really good to get that support behind the program.
The biggest way we grow is you guys telling your friends. So if you know anyone that wants to listen to it, tell them, go, hey, jump on this podcast. We'll have another episode up again on Thursday, which will be covering the Melbourne Grand Prix, which is hell of a good race. What's your predictions for it?
Ooh, that's a really hard one. So this is Friday, just after we've watched 2 practices today from the Formula One. It's looking very much like Mercedes are quite strong still.
Yeah. I don't know if they're sandbagging or I keep thinking in my head that everyone's sandbagging, but there's got to be a point where the sandbags come out and we just go flat out.
I think that will be very much tomorrow with qualifying. We're going to really start to see who's brought the power, whose engines have improved the most over the off-season, whose aero package is working. And well, there is actually a couple of interesting things with it as well, with the suspension being taken away from Red Bull and Mercedes. So that's quite an interesting one that we'll see whether that's helped Ferrari catch up as well. And there's a lot of unique ideas through the paddock. So it would be really interesting to see how it plays out tomorrow. I can't wait to see it.
So who's your pick?
Ooh, I'm going to say Hamilton. I'm just going to side with every other person in the world, pretty much.
Boo. I'm going to jump on the Vettel bandwagon. I think he's got it.
Yeah, I think it's a hard one between Mercedes and Ferrari. Red Bull still could surprise us. I wouldn't be surprised. They're the type of team that will hold back just to rub it in everyone's faces on qualifying.
Yes. Well, we'll find out. You guys will know
before this episode probably out.
Yeah. I'm going to bust my ass and we'll get it out.
Okay.
So, anyway, thanks again, guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Appreciate everything. We'll catch you guys later.
Thanks, guys. Catch ya. Bye.
Bye.